All right, Nick, let's talk about the Chicago Bears. The Bears, great draft. I think great turnaround. Ben Johnson at the helm of this team. Everything is really exciting for Bears fans right now. But it's not just Bears fans who are getting excited. I think there's other people, whether it's coaches, players, or people in the media, starting to notice this Bears team has got a lot of up and coming players that are going to help this team be really spectacular. And there's one guy in particular people are saying is going to be an absolute game changer for this team. We'll get into that in just a second here, but first, I'm Andrew, that's Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, the Chicago Bears got one player in particular. Everybody is starting to take notice, even the national media, saying this could be a guy who comes out and really sets this Bears team off, really turns them into something special here. Let's get into the article and we'll get into the stats on the other side. This is from heavy.com. It says 3 of 4 ESPN reporters picked Colston Loveland, the 10th overall selection in the 2025 draft, as the rookie most likely to make the biggest splash this season. So let's clarify this right here really quick. Not just the Bears, not just, the NFC, the rookie overall of all teams drafted, the guy to make the biggest splash. 3 out of 4 guys are picking Colston Loveland. That is absolutely massive. It says Domofsky made the case for the Packers' first-round receiver Matthew Golden, but the consensus among his peers points to Loveland as a potential game changer in Chicago's offense, an offense that will be under the creative command of newly hired head coach Ben Johnson. Loveland is walking into a situation that's tailor-made for immediate production. Johnson, who helped develop Lions tight end Sam LaPorta into a record-setting rookie in 2023, now brings that same offensive creativity to Chicago for a team that wants to be the best 12 personnel, that's 2 tight ends and 1 running back for anyone who doesn't know, unit in the league. Loveland's fit is seamless, and I completely agree here. I think not only is Ben Johnson a offensive genius, not only is the system he run very good for tight ends, but I think Colston Loveland could even be a little bit better on paper than Sam LaPorta, giving him an edge as far as how good he can be coming into this system that they said right there, perfect words, tailor-made just for him. Let's get into our chart here, comparing Colston Loveland to Sam LaPorta coming out of college and how these guys stack up. First, we've got our chart here just showing their receiving grade and overall offensive grades. And you have LaPorta in blue, Colston in orange there on the right-hand side. As you can see, Colston edging out LaPorta. LaPorta was good. LaPorta's in the 80s receiving grade, but Colston edges him out just barely, a 90 receiving grade for him. Then you look overall offensive grade, just below 80s for Sam LaPorta, mid 80s for Colston Loveland, showing these guys really good, but Colston Loveland edges him out just a little bit. But when you get into the advanced analytics, when you get into the nitty-gritty details, that's where Colston Loveland really starts to separate himself here. And we see that here. First, we got touchdowns. That's pretty plain and simple. Colston Loveland, 5 touchdowns for him, 1 touchdown for LaPorta. Better red zone threat, better at getting into the end zone here. But one advanced analytic we love here is yards per route run. And when you look at that, Colston Loveland, again, edging out Sam LaPorta in that aspect. Just over 2.1 yards per route run for Sam LaPorta. On the other side, for Colston Loveland, you got a guy that is 2.76 yards per route run. Really, really great job here. Colston Loveland, fantastic player. We all know how good Sam LaPorta is. Not trying to say that he is a bad player by any means. These guys are very close. What the goal of these charts is to show you is this is a guy in Colston Loveland that's a little bit better in a couple of areas. He's showing, receiving, overall grade, his yards per route run, his explosiveness, his ability to turn things into longer gains, his ability to be a red zone target. He's edging Sam LaPorta out, a guy that was so successful in a Ben Johnson offense early on, and we're already starting to hear great things about Loveland. I think something special could be brewing here in Chicago for this tailor-made fit of Johnson and Colston Loveland in this offense together. Curious what your thoughts are on this one, Nick, but before we get to you, Bears fans, in the comment section below, we're talking tight ends. There's a good amount of really prolific tight ends in Bears history, but we're only going to make you pick one. Let us know who's your favorite Bears tight end of all time in the comments section below. You can go old school, you can go new school. There's a lot of great options there, but let us know who's your favorite Bears tight end of all time in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what are your thoughts on this latest news out of Chicago?
So I think it's important to understand that when it comes to the Chicago Bears and specifically Colston Loveland, we're not talking about a guy that's going to have to catch 100 balls, right? This is a very deep offense in terms of playmakers across the board. We, of course, know about DJ Moore, Rome Odunze from last year, and, of course, they added Luther Burden. They want to run the football. We know Ben Johnson wants to do that. So we're not looking for a guy to catch 100 passes, but we're looking for a guy in Colston Loveland that can unlock the rest of this offense and make them potentially unstoppable. And that's why so many people expect him to have such a huge impact, because they look at this Bears roster and certainly their playmakers on offense and they say, it's tough to handle all these receivers. They're going to be really good running the ball. My God, did they get better on the offensive line? An incredible offseason to execute that, getting better up front. We talked about it about a week and a half ago, just what they did statistically when just break down the numbers with the money they spent and how much better they got on the offensive line this past season. It's almost unprecedented in NFL history to go from where they were in the interior last year to where they are sitting now. What a massive leap. And then you throw in Colston Loveland, and I know a lot of people are looking at this, they're like, what do we do? How do we stop the Bears, right? We know Caleb Williams has all this talent. We know he's a smart guy. How can we handle the Chicago Bears? And I think that's why people look at Loveland and say, yeah, he'll be the best rookie in football. And you're having all these people who know what's going on. And I think the fact that it's the NFC North reporters and media highlighting that, I think that's a big tell, because these are the guys that are actually deep in the weeds when it comes to the NFC North, and they realize how much better the Bears have gotten, and that if you decide to, okay, we're going to cover the wide receivers as best we can with our coverages, and then really allocate resources to stopping the run, and then there's no one left for Colston Loveland. I mean, these guys, these folks in the media, they see what we're talking about now, where it's like, hey, listen, we're gonna put a backup linebacker on Loveland because we're gonna have to have 8 guys in the box to stop the run. We're gonna have to have roll coverages to handle these receivers. There's not 16 guys on defenses. How do we figure this? How do we do this? And I think that's what the opposing teams facing the Bears this season are going to have to deal with. And I think a lot of them are going to say, we can't let DJ Moore beat us. We can't let this running game beat us. We can't let one of these young wide receivers make big plays. So I think what we'll see is a lot of 2 deep look, soft zone coverages. I think we'll see teams go a lot of big, heavy in the box to try and stop the run with 7 in the box. And what does that mean? It means you get Colston Loveland in zone coverages over the middle against run-stopping linebackers. He'll win that every single time. He may catch 100 passes because if he gets that matchup all the time, and that's what people are noticing about the Bears. People forget this about the National Football League sometimes. It's so true. It sounds almost cliche, but it often is lost. It is a league of matchups. Can you have an offense against a defense where your number 2 receiver is better than their number 2 corner? Is your your left guard better than their defensive tackle, right? Is your number 2 tight end better than their number 3 linebacker, right? Do you have those matchups allocated in such a way where at some point you've got a matchup advantage? You don't necessarily need to have your number 1 receiver be better than their number 1 corner, but if you have matchup advantages after the fact, then you'll be fine. Right now, obviously, if your number 1 receiver is better than one corner, you'll take it. But at some point, you need a matchup advantage. And what Colston Loveland gives the Bears is a guaranteed, essentially, at this point, we can say it's pretty much guaranteed, a matchup advantage no matter what teams do. Because you have to figure out a way to stop the run. If you don't try and stop the run and go heavy in the box, you'll give up 200 on the ground against this Ben Johnson and an improved offensive line. You're going to have to do something with these wide receivers. Otherwise, they'll generate big plays on you all day with Caleb Williams. So if you do that, the guaranteed matchup is there for Colston Loveland every single time. And that's what the opposition is going to face for the Bears, and that's what the media realizes. That's what the opposition realizes for the Chicago team. Now, I think we're going to have to see how it all shakes out. Colston Loveland has to emerge as a key player once the regular season starts, has to get on the right page with Caleb Williams, right? All those things have to go in place. We have to avoid injuries. All those things are still true. But if you look at just schematically where the Bears sit today, there's not a thing any defense in the NFL can do that can stop them. They're too good up front now with the moves they made on the offensive line. They got too many good big play wide receivers. They're too good running the football. And now you throw in Colston Loveland. what do you do? I don't have an answer, right? And I don't think anybody does for this Bears offense. If Caleb Williams can emerge as the quarterback we all think he will be, if they avoid the injuries, and if there aren't any other surprises, there's no reason to think this Bears offense can't go from being just, they were bad last year, to okay this year. We're talking about being a top 3, top 5, maybe even top 2. Who knows? I mean, the ceiling really is the limit. The sky is really the limit, excuse me, for this Bears offense.
Yeah, Nick, and I think when you look at this Bears team, just in general, what is going on? Like you said, you don't know where to go. This is very reminiscent, more so of the Lions when Ben Johnson was there, that 2023 year when LaPorta comes in. There's a lot of really great parallels there as well. And we saw the explosion from that year and how deep the Lions were able to go in the playoffs. I think that's very reminiscent of this draft here for the Bears. Obviously, Loveland is the centerpiece. He's the highlight. He's the thing that makes this offense, run. He is going to be, like I said, he's not going to have to catch 100 balls, but, this is going to be the breakout piece. He's going to open up everybody else. You look at that Lions team from 2023 when they're able to get LaPorta. What else do they do? They bring in guys like Jameson Williams, a guy, not, he is actually the year that after he got hurt, coming back, doing a lot of really great stuff there. He starts to get unlocked. You get guys like Brian Branch on the backside of the defense, Jack Campbell on the defense, doing a lot of great stuff. You have Jahmyr Gibbs in the offense that year as well, really starting to unlock things. Now we take a turn, look at the Bears. Colston Loveland comes in, the Sam LaPorta comparison. You got Luther Burden coming in as well. He's the Jameson Williams coming back from injury type of guy. He's going to have that sort of impact on this offense at the receiver position. We got Ruben Hippolyte, a really athletic, quick linebacker the Bears have drafted, similar of a Jack Campbell-esque type of guy. Then we've got the running back, Kyle Monogany out of Rutgers, that everybody's talking about. He's doing a lot of great stuff early on as well. And then to top it all off, they got Ozzie Trapillo, the tackle out of Boston College. So a great draft overall for the Bears, capped off by Colston Loveland, the thing that's going to unleash this offense. But it's looking very reminiscent. And I'm just saying this to say it's reminiscent of the Ben Johnson offense that really propelled the Lions to be one of the contenders in all of football, not just the NFC. I think the Bears are on that trajectory, especially with this draft class. Things are lining up really great for the Bears. I think we're going to see a big season out of them with this draft.
And just one final point to end on, it's important to understand. People look at Cole Kmet and say he's a serviceable tight end. He's a good tight end, right? That's sort of the feeling or the vibe when it comes to the Bears and Kmet. The reality is, if you look at his receiving grade, he's 37th in the NFL last year. Cole Kmet as a receiving tight end. Now, I think it was a down year. I think he's probably a better player than 37th as a receiving tight end. But to be totally honest, if you just look at the raw data, the raw analytics, it's a position where the Bears definitely could improve on, and they did with the addition of Colston Loveland. And again, you brought up a great point. The addition of Sam LaPorta unlocked so many parts of that Lions offense where they went from a feel-good story, doing better, to being an almost unstoppable force back-to-back seasons with at least 12 wins. I think the Bears are following that same formula. People talk about it all the time, but at this point, you have to just recognize this is an offense that's stacked on so many levels. If there are no surprises, if everything goes according to plan, this is an elite squad in Chicago.